Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chaz Kayato, and today what I'd like to talk about is the future of education. And so this is probably a topic I'll revisit semi-often, just depends on how often I feel like it needs to be discussed. But what really spurred this is I was reading a recent article that said that major changes are coming to education and that teachers will be replaced within 10 years. It's always these really grandiose headlines that are mostly hyperbole, but it gets people talking. And so I just want to explain why I actually don't believe that teachers are going to be replaced, maybe even ever. Well, I shouldn't say ever, because we don't know too far in the future, right? But at least in the near future, I don't believe that this is going to be a problem. So if you're interested in entering the field of education and you're concerned that AI or technology will replace teachers, I'm going to explain why I don't think that is going to be a problem. And it really boils down to a key element of the educational process, and that is actually talking to a human that has other human experiences, that understands different ways that humans act and interact, which you'll never be able to get from artificial intelligence. And once again, I shouldn't say never, because we don't know, the long time future, what's AI going to look like in 50 years, 100 years. Obviously, that could be drastically different. But I don't see any major changes in the next 10, 20, maybe even 30 years. So, from a basic level, let's just be honest. You are not going to be able to drop your kid off, especially if you have a young kid. You're not going to be able to drop your 5-year-old off to a school that's run by robots, right? You're not going to be able to drop your kid to a school that's run by AI. For at least the foreseeable future, it's going to require manual teaching, someone in the classroom. Those kids, when they have questions, they want to ask a teacher. And even simple things like going to the restroom, walking the kids to the cafeteria, these types of things are going to require an actual human to do. Okay? We can't expect a child to follow an AI-powered Zumba around school, right? And not and not go wayward. And even at the high school level, where you'd imagine that students have a bit more autonomy, we're still talking about juveniles, right? And so, are we going to trust that a 16-year-old is going to report to class all the time if there is not an actual human in there? What would stop an AI instructor from stopping a student from leaving? I mean, there's just so many. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But there's so many reasons why you still need physical teachers in a school. Now, that's not to say that AI is not already changing the educational landscape, because it is, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse, maybe for both. But, when I see these headlines that say teachers will be replaced, it's just the silliest thing. Now, not to mention, you're also talking about what's really important is the social elements of being around a teacher. Okay, someone that, once again, has life experience, that can relate to you and can understand when there needs to be nuance in describing a topic or handling a situation. I mean, these types of things are not, at this point, AI is not capable of doing all of that. Yes, you see these programs that say AI can teach you how your learning style is. And I'm sure to a very far extent that could be potentially true. But as someone pointed out, I can't remember where, but just just kind of bring it up. It was a great point that the problem with that approach, though, if you don't have the human element involved, is that many students don't know what they don't know. And so it's very difficult to say this is your learning style when, depending on the age of the student and their experience in education, they may not have enough mental resources to understand all of the things that go into their education. And so to say to a fourth grader, this is the way you learn, well, that may not actually be the case. Now, that may be on track to really help that child, but there are so many elements that go into what a teacher does in the classroom. And the very basic of which is just being a physical presence, which is not going to be replaced by AI anytime soon. Once again, maybe 50 years from now, we have super lifelike robots that you can't distinguish from regular humans. I don't know. But as of right now, this is not something that I would imagine even people about to enter into teaching are going to have to worry about. And even then, another thing that I'll often point out is if we're replacing that physical element of education and educators, we're probably also replacing the physical element of most industries. And so, we're talking about a completely different dynamic of the way humans live at that point. So, to say that, oh, well, don't get into education because that field's going to be replaced. I mean, you can make arguments that most fields are going to be replaced. Once again, that's a little bit of hyperbole, but it's just I wanted to go over this topic because I think it's just something we're seeing more and more about, and I think a lot of it is designed to get your attention, but it's not necessarily always well thought out. So anyways, that's my topic today. If you have anything you want to add to that, please put it down in the comments below. I will probably come back and touch on this more in the future. So if there's anything you want me to discuss or anything you think I missed out, please let me know. Thank you.